Hello there, I'm the Biblical Translator. This isn't a biblical comment or statement I wish to make today. It was something that happened to me this morning, and I walked in the kitchen at work and this lady glared at me. Well, my interpretation was that she glared at me, even though I smiled. So I said to myself, maybe she's got issues, maybe that's how her face is, I don't know. Anyway, as I was walking to a different office, I noticed her again. This time her face was nonchalant. She looked at me, but her face was totally different. She looked quite young, younger than when I saw her sitting down, glaring at me. And I thought to myself, And it suddenly occurred to me, because we are so vain, we are so arrogant a lot of the time. Hold on, let me just take off the... have to take off the disturbances. Yeah, sometimes we are so vain and arrogant that we think people see us when they don't. A lot of people are looking, but they're not seeing. And that's what occurred to me. She didn't see me. I saw her, but she didn't see me. And sometimes we think that people are looking at us in a certain way or behaving in a certain way. And we take that behavior as being directed at us when it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with their internal mechanism, their internal thought processes, what's going on in their life. And a lot of times you'll find fights break out because why are you looking at me that way? Why are you screwing? That time the person is like, what? I didn't even see you. Yes, you did. You was looking straight at me. I know you saw me. We have to realize that people, even though they're looking at you, they don't necessarily see you. A lot of people go around today and in the years before in a world of their own. They're not acknowledging people. They're not seeing people. They've got so much on their minds that people are a consequence unless you touch them. Or you have to be careful how you touch people these days, but unless you touch them and say, oh, hi, and then you'll see their face, it's almost like they've woken up. All of a sudden, they see you. And that face that looked dull or angry or frustrated changes to an expression of love, because now they've seen you. Now they can acknowledge you. We mustn't make assumptions when we see people. We mustn't have this attitude that everything that happens in this world is about us. We need to let go of the arrogance and the conceit, because that is what it is. When you think the whole world revolves around you, everything that happens is because of you, you're walking on the wrong path. You need to realize and open up and to make sure that somebody hasn't seen you, you acknowledge them. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, she walked straight past me. She ignored me. Or he walked straight past me. He gave me a dirty look. They don't reassure themselves by confronting that situation. They go away with that thought in their head, which builds up resentment. And the next thing you know, that person doesn't even know why you're not speaking to them. If you're that concerned, tap that person on the shoulder and say to them, oh, didn't you see me? Make light of it. Be sure before you go off in a tandem building up all these thoughts, all these negative thoughts about somebody who hasn't got a clue. And I think that's what's unfair about a lot of people in this world. They have people up, they don't confront the person doesn't know why you have them up. And when I say have them up, is that you hold a grievance against them. And they'll say, oh, I don't have a grievance, I'm just not speaking to them. They're just not part of my world. I just don't have anything to do with them. That is a grievance. That is holding people up. That is lack of forgiveness. And I'm not saying that you need to be friends with these people. I'm just saying you need to be open and transparent. You need to tell people what is hurting you. I was watching, I watch these Korean movies. I was watching a Korean movie, and this woman, she'd been cheated out of her profession. Somebody had stole her dissertation, and they got the professorship while she got booted out of the job. And she was depressed, and her partner was saying to her, what's wrong? And she wouldn't tell him. He had to learn third hand. And he couldn't understand why she was moody, why she was upset, why she was depressed when they should be happy. This is what happens in this world. We have people who are not speaking out. It's causing mental illness. We have people who are not sharing how they're feeling, how they're really feeling, because they don't want to burden anyone. And it's people like this that ultimately could go out and kill other people, people who have been mocked, people who have been belittled, people who have been abused, and, those who have been persecuted. And so when one thing out of place, you get the backlash of everything that's happened to that person before. Just because that person hasn't opened up to someone. Maybe people say, I've got no one I can trust. I don't know who I can talk to. Nobody's got my back. You have to learn to trust. Number one, God has your back. The higher mind, the higher sensitivity, the higher spirituality, the higher force has your back. You have to go forth in faith. You have to believe that people don't hate you. Unless you've hurt somebody or done somebody an injustice or done somebody wrong, what have you got to fear? What is it that you're frightened of? A lot of people are afraid of rejection. That is why they go away with these thoughts in their head. Oh, I'm not going to go over and say anything to that person because that person might only diss me or disrespect me or not say anything to me or ignore me. I can't take that. So they don't say anything at all. Instead, they hold all the wrong thoughts, the erroneous thinking in their head. And that is not clever. That doesn't help the individual who you're holding up against, and it doesn't help you. Somebody hurts you, you don't have to be insulting and unkind. You say, that hurt me. That made me feel uncomfortable. Let the person know, no matter how difficult it is. You don't have to go in a hump. You don't have to start sulking. You don't have to be belligerent and angry. You can say it in a calm manner so that person doesn't feel threatened. So that person doesn't feel as though they've got to defend themselves, especially if it wasn't deliberate. And even if it was deliberate, it gives them an opportunity to defend themselves and say, well, it's because you did this, a few months ago. And I thought A, B, C, D, and E. That is why I'm like that with you today. Everybody has a reason why they behave in a certain way, whether it's to you or someone else. Give them a chance to explain. Help us to heal society. Help us to heal families. Help us to heal friends by opening up and talking and confronting misjustices or injustices. And that's all I've got to say for now. I hope you found it interesting. Bye-bye.